Fall Apart, by Chinua Achebe. About the author. Chinua Achebe was a Nigerian novelist, poet, essayist, and professor who is widely regarded as one of the most important literary figures of the 20th century. He is best known for his novel, Things Fall Apart, which was published in 1958 and is considered one of the most significant works in African literature. Achebe's works focus on the complexities of African cultures and the impact of colonialism, while also addressing universal themes such as identity, change, and the human condition. Achebe's first novel, Things Fall Apart, was published in 1958 when he was in his late 20s. The novel gained widespread acclaim for its portrayal of pre-colonial Igbo society and the impact of British colonialism. His other notable works include No Longer at Ease, Arrow of God, A Man of the People, and Anthills of the Savannah, all of which explore different aspects of Nigerian society and politics. Achebe's works often blend traditional African storytelling techniques with modern literary forms, highlighting the richness and complexity of African cultures. Achebe was an active participant in Nigerian politics and civil society, particularly during the Nigerian Civil War. Achebe's work had a profound impact on African literature, inspiring generations of writers across the continent and beyond. He received numerous awards and honors throughout his life, including the Nigerian National Order of Merit and the Man Booker International Prize for his contribution to world literature. Achebe's influence extends beyond literature. He was a prominent voice on issues related to culture, politics, and social justice, and his writings continue to be studied and celebrated worldwide. Chinua Achebe's literary contributions have left an enduring legacy, making him a central figure in both African and global literature. His works continue to resonate with readers around the world, shedding light on the history, culture, and experiences of Africa and its people. Significance of the title. The title of Chinua Achebe's novel, Things Fall Apart, is significant for several reasons. It captures the essence of the narrative, encapsulates the major themes of the novel, and evokes a sense of disintegration and change that permeates the story. The title reflects the disintegration of Igbo society as it confronts the forces of colonialism and Christianity. The traditional ways of life, beliefs, and customs are challenged by the new influences, leading to internal divisions and conflicts within the community. On a personal level, the title foreshadows the downfall of the protagonist, Okonkwo. His life unravels as he grapples with the changing world around him. His rigid adherence to traditional values and his inability to adapt to the new realities ultimately contribute to his tragic end. The title evokes a sense of instability and uncertainty, which is a major theme in the novel. The old certainties and structures are falling apart, and the community must grapple with the consequences of change. It emphasizes the inevitable loss of the old ways as new systems take root, often at the cost of the existing cultural identity and cohesion. The phrase, "things fall apart," also underscores the broader impact on the community as a whole. The disruptions caused by colonialism and religious conversion extend beyond individuals like Okonkwo, affecting the entire village and its way of life. In conclusion, the title, Things Fall Apart, captures the core conflict of the novel, the clash between traditional Igbo culture and the forces of colonialism and modernity. It speaks to the broader theme of disintegration of both individual lives and entire societies when confronted with significant change. By choosing this title, Achebe sets the stage for a story that explores the profound impact of these transformative forces on the lives of his characters and their community. Summary of the novel: Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart, by Chinua Achebe, is a novel set in the late 19th century in the fictional Igbo village of Umuofia, in what is now Nigeria. The novel tells the story of Okonkwo, a respected and ambitious man whose life is shaped by his desire to distance himself from the perceived failures of his father. As the story unfolds, Okonkwo's world is increasingly disrupted by the arrival of British colonizers and missionaries. Here is a detailed summary of the novel. Part 1. The novel begins with the introduction of Okonkwo, a strong and respected leader known for his wrestling skills and successful farming. He is driven by a fear of failure and a desire to be the opposite of his father, Unoka, who was known for his laziness and indebtedness. Achebe provides detailed descriptions of Igbo customs and traditions, including their festivals, rituals, and societal structure. The village's justice system is highlighted when Okonkwo takes part in the decision to take in a boy named Ikemefuna as compensation for a killing in another village. Okonkwo's relationships with his family members are explored, particularly his sons Nwoi and Ikemefuna, and his favorite daughter Ezinma. Okonkwo's harshness towards Nwoi contrasts with his affection for Ikemefuna and Ezinma. Ikemefuna lives with Okonkwo's family for 3 years and forms a close bond with Nwoi. However, the village elders decide that Ikemefuna must be killed to cleanse the village of the sin of his original village. Okonkwo participates in Ikemefuna's death, a decision that haunts him. Part 2. After a tragic accident during a funeral ceremony in which Okonkwo's gun accidentally kills a clansman, he is exiled to his mother's homeland, Mabanta, for 7 years. While in exile, Okonkwo reflects on his life and the changes happening in Umuofia, including the arrival of missionaries and the spread of Christianity. In Mabanta, Okonkwo witnesses the influence of missionaries on the people. His son Nwoi converts to Christianity, which causes a deep rift between father and son. The missionaries begin to gain converts, challenging the traditional beliefs and customs of the Igbo people. Part 3. Okonkwo returns to Umuofia after his exile, but he finds his village fundamentally changed. The missionaries have established a foothold, and the British colonial administration has imposed its authority. Traditional values and customs are being undermined, and the village is divided. Okonkwo tries to rally his community against the colonizers and the new religion. However, his efforts are largely in vain as many villagers have embraced the changes. He kills a messenger from the colonial administration, hoping to incite his people to rise against the colonizers, but instead, the community is shocked by his action. Okonkwo realizes that his fight against the changes in his society is futile and that he no longer has a place in his community. In a final act of despair and defiance, Okonkwo hangs himself, a death considered an abomination in Igbo culture. Critical analysis of the novel: Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is a seminal novel by Nigerian author Chinua Achebe, published in 1958. The novel is widely recognized as a classic of African literature and is one of the first major works by an African writer to gain international recognition. The story is set in the late 19th century in the fictional village of Umuofia in Nigeria, and it portrays the life of Okonkwo, a respected and ambitious Igbo man, as well as the impact of British colonialism and the spread of Christianity on his society. The novel vividly depicts the arrival of the British and their missionaries in Umuofia and how they disrupt the traditional Igbo society. The transformation of the community's religious, cultural, and political landscape is shown through Okonkwo's struggle with the changes. Achebe critically examines the effects of colonialism, such as the erosion of traditional practices and the imposition of foreign beliefs and systems. A central theme of the novel is the tension between the old ways of the Igbo people and the new influences brought by the colonizers. Okonkwo's desire to uphold traditional values clashes with the changes occurring in his society. Achebe explores how change can lead to both positive and negative outcomes. Okonkwo is preoccupied with his identity and reputation, striving to be strong and successful in the eyes of his community. His fear of being perceived as weak like his father shapes his harsh and sometimes brutal behavior. The novel questions the concept of traditional masculinity and how it affects Okonkwo's relationships and decisions. Okonkwo's life is marked by the tension between fate and free will. While he strives to shape his destiny, he is ultimately subject to forces beyond his control, such as the arrival of the colonizers and changes in society. Okonkwo's life is characterized by conflict within himself, with his family, and with his community. The novel is structured as a tragedy, following Okonkwo's rise and fall as he struggles to navigate the changing world around him. The protagonist, Okonkwo, is a proud and ambitious man who values strength and success. His rigid adherence to traditional Igbo values and fear of weakness drives his actions, leading to his eventual downfall. Okonkwo's son Nwoi is more open to change and drawn to the missionaries' message. His shift in beliefs creates tension with Okonkwo and serves as a symbol of the generational divide and the challenges to traditional values. Okonkwo's daughter Ezinma is his favorite child and provides him with moments of vulnerability. She demonstrates qualities that Okonkwo values but is constrained by the expectations of her gender. The adopted son of Okonkwo, Ikemefuna, serves as a tragic figure whose fate is intertwined with Okonkwo's. His death marks a pivotal moment in the novel and Okonkwo's life. Achebe's narrative is straightforward, yet rich in cultural references and proverbs. The use of Igbo phrases and expressions adds authenticity to the story and helps immerse readers in the culture. The novel is divided into 3 parts. The first focuses on Okonkwo's life in Umuofia, the second on his exile in Mabanta, and the third on his return and the effects of colonialism. This structure mirrors Okonkwo's journey and the transformation of the Igbo society. Things Fall Apart is set in the late 19th century, during a period of significant upheaval and change in what is now Nigeria. The novel's backdrop is a time of colonial expansion by European powers, particularly Britain, into Africa. This era brought profound changes to the existing social, political, and cultural structures of African societies. The novel presents the structure of pre-colonial Igbo society, emphasizing its complex social hierarchy, customs, traditions, and religious beliefs. Achebe depicts a society with well-established institutions, including a system of governance based on clans and family units, as well as a rich oral tradition. The novel shows the arrival of British colonialists and missionaries, who begin to challenge the existing social order. The British impose their own legal and political systems, often disregarding traditional customs and ways of life. The missionaries' introduction of Christianity creates conflict within the community, leading some, like Nwoi, to convert and others, like Okonkwo, to resist. Achebe presents the cultural clash between the Igbo and the colonizers through various events in the novel, such as the destruction of the traditional customs, the introduction of new religious beliefs, and the undermining of Igbo leadership. These clashes create internal divisions within the Igbo community, with some members embracing the changes and others fiercely opposing them. The novel explores the political consequences of colonialism, including the erosion of traditional authority and the imposition of British rule. Achebe demonstrates how colonialism can disrupt existing power structures, leading to social instability and the loss of cultural identity. Achebe's use of language in Things Fall Apart is integral to the novel's authenticity and cultural depth. Achebe blends English with Igbo words, phrases, and proverbs, enriching the text with the local language and traditions. This linguistic choice adds cultural specificity and authenticity, immersing the reader in the Igbo world. Proverbs play a significant role in the novel, reflecting the wisdom and beliefs of the Igbo people. Achebe uses proverbs to convey important themes, illustrate cultural values, and enhance the storytelling. Achebe's narrative is straightforward and direct, often focusing on the details of daily life and cultural practices. The language is evocative, painting a vivid picture of Igbo society and its customs. Achebe writes with a respectful and empathetic tone toward the Igbo people and their traditions. By presenting the story from the perspective of the Igbo characters, Achebe offers readers an insight into their worldview and experiences. Things Fall Apart is a profound and moving exploration of the clash between traditional African culture and the forces of colonialism. Through Okonkwo's story, Achebe captures the complexities of change and the personal and societal conflicts that arise as a result. The novel remains a powerful commentary on the impact of colonialism on indigenous cultures and continues to resonate with readers worldwide. In summary, Things Fall Apart is a novel deeply rooted in the social and political context of late 19th century Nigeria, as it grapples with the effects of colonialism on traditional Igbo society. Achebe's careful use of language, including the incorporation of Igbo expressions and proverbs, brings authenticity and depth to the novel, providing readers with a nuanced understanding of the culture and challenges faced by the Igbo people during this period of transition. Themes. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe explores several significant themes that are deeply intertwined with the narrative and the setting of the novel. These themes include the impact of colonialism, tradition versus change, identity and masculinity, fate and free will, and conflict and tragedy. Here's a detailed explanation of each theme. Colonialism and its impact. The novel portrays the arrival of British colonizers and missionaries in the Igbo society and the subsequent changes they bring. Their presence disrupts the existing social, cultural, and political order of the Igbo people. Achebe illustrates how the introduction of Christianity and Western institutions undermines the traditional beliefs, customs, and authority of the Igbo society. The arrival of the colonizers causes divisions within the community. Some members embrace the new faith and culture, while others resist, leading to conflict and disunity. Tradition versus change. Okonkwo represents the struggle to uphold traditional values and resist change. His character's actions and attitudes reveal his determination to maintain the old ways of his people. Some characters, such as Nawoi, are more open to change and are drawn to the new faith. This contrast highlights the generational and ideological shifts within the society. The novel explores the clash between traditional Igbo culture and the encroaching Western influences. This clash is both cultural and existential, affecting the community's identity and sense of continuity. Identity and masculinity. Okonkwo's identity is closely tied to traditional notions of masculinity. He equates strength with aggression and success, and weakness with failure and shame. Okonkwo's rigid adherence to his perception of masculinity affects his relationships with his family and others in the community. His fear of appearing weak often leads him to make harsh and regrettable decisions. The novel contrasts Okonkwo's traditional views on masculinity with the younger generation's more progressive attitudes, as seen in his son Nawoi. Fate and free will. The novel presents the idea that change is inevitable, regardless of individual resistance. This theme is embodied in the transformation of Igbo society due to colonial influence. Okonkwo's attempt to control his fate and preserve his way of life ultimately leads to his tragic end. His rigid stance and unwillingness to adapt contribute to his downfall. Conflict and tragedy. Okonkwo is a tragic hero whose flaws lead him to make decisions that alienate him from his community and family. His desire for power and respect results in his undoing. The novel explores the generational conflicts within families and communities as they navigate the pressures of tradition versus change. The novel culminates in Okonkwo's tragic death, highlighting the consequences of his inability to reconcile with the changes around him. Community and the individual. The novel depicts the interdependence of individuals within the Igbo community and how their actions impact the whole society. As colonial influences take hold, the strong sense of community and collective identity that once defined Igbo society begins to erode. These themes collectively illustrate the profound impact of colonialism on traditional African societies and the personal and communal challenges that arise as a result. Achebe's nuanced portrayal of these themes provides insight into the complexities of cultural identity, the struggle to maintain traditions, and the tensions that arise when worlds collide. Characterization. Things Fall Apart, by Chinua Achebe features a diverse cast of characters, each contributing to the novel's themes and narrative. Here is a detailed analysis of the central characters in the novel. Okonkwo. Okonkwo is the protagonist of the novel and a respected leader in the Igbo village of Umuofia. He is known for his strength, ambition, and hard work, and he aspires to achieve success and honor in his community. Okonkwo is driven by a fear of being perceived as weak, like his father, Unoka. This fear influences many of his decisions and actions. He is obsessed with masculinity and strength, often equating aggression and stoicism with power. Okonkwo's strengths include his strong work ethic, leadership abilities, and determination. His flaws include his inability to adapt to change, his harsh treatment of others, and his quick temper. Okonkwo's relationships with his family are complex. He is harsh with his son Nwoi and distant from his wife, Ekwefi. He loves his daughter Azinma, but he also sees her potential as being wasted due to her gender. Okonkwo is a tragic hero whose fear of weakness leads him to destructive decisions, such as participating in Ikemafuna's death. His inability to accept change and his commitment to traditional values contribute to his downfall and eventual suicide. Nwoi. Nwoi is Okonkwo's oldest son. He struggles to meet his father's expectations and desires for him to embody traditional masculinity. Nwoi is sensitive and thoughtful, in contrast to Okonkwo's aggressive nature. He is drawn to the compassionate aspects of Christianity, which offers him an escape from his father's harshness. Nwoi's relationship with his father is strained due to their differing values and personalities. His conversion to Christianity is a source of disappointment and anger for Okonkwo. Azinma. Azinma is Okonkwo's favorite daughter and the only child of Ekwefi. She is intelligent, resourceful, and strong-willed, qualities that Okonkwo admires in her. Azinma shares a close bond with her mother, Ekwefi, and her father's affection for her gives her a unique position within the family. She has a sense of independence and insight that sets her apart from others. Okonkwo sees Azinma as having the potential of a son, but she is limited by her gender. Despite her strong qualities, she faces the traditional expectations of her role as a woman in Igbo society. Ekwefi. Ekwefi is Okonkwo's second wife and the mother of Azinma. She is strong-willed, assertive, and often questions Okonkwo's decisions. Ekwefi is devoted to Azinma and fiercely protective of her, having lost several children in infancy. Her independent spirit sometimes clashes with Okonkwo's traditional beliefs. Ekwefi and Okonkwo have a tumultuous relationship, marked by both affection and conflict. She provides insight into Okonkwo's vulnerabilities, particularly in her interactions with him concerning Azinma. Ikemefuna. Ikemefuna is a boy given to Umuofia as compensation for a killing in another village. He lives with Okonkwo's family for 3 years. Ikemefuna becomes a beloved member of Okonkwo's family, forming a close bond with Nwoi. His presence helps to bridge the gap between Nwoi and Okonkwo for a time. Ikemefuna's tragic fate is decided by the village elders, who order his death as a form of justice. Okonkwo's participation in Ikemefuna's death is a pivotal moment in the novel, revealing his internal conflict and adherence to tradition. Mr. Brown and Mr. Smith. Mr. Brown is the first missionary to arrive in Umuofia. He is a more accommodating and respectful figure who tries to understand the Igbo people and their culture. He seeks peaceful conversions and is open to dialogue, which earns him some respect in the community. Mr. Smith replaces Mr. Brown and is a more aggressive and rigid missionary. His confrontational approach creates further tensions and divisions within the community. These characters and their interactions with each other and their changing world help to drive the narrative of Things Fall Apart, and highlight the novel's exploration of tradition, change, and the impact of colonialism on indigenous cultures.